Hi, my name is Joanne, and welcome to the One to Another podcast. Today, we're going to talk about 8 self care ideas for when the grief gets overwhelming or catches you off guard. So sometimes grief is so overwhelming that it just seems like there's no way that you're going to make any steps forward. So these are just some simple ones that I've learned, and I hope that might help you when you just get overwhelmed. There's sometimes when it just thinks, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do this. So the first one is you got to breathe. When we get tense, we tend to hold our breath or have short, shallow breaths. First, just notice that you're breathing and then try slowing it down. Breathing more into your belly and exhaling a little longer than you inhale. It is amazing, I've noticed that a lot, that sometimes when I do get overwhelmed, that my breathing changes. So we got to think about slowing down that a little bit. And then the second one is to move your body. This doesn't have to be a sport, but it can be. Maybe just take a walk or, do a push-up or dance around the kitchen or try cleaning, like using your vacuum cleaner. Anything that you can get to move your body will help you with being so overwhelmed. Personally, I feel like it's so important to walk. And when I get overwhelmed at home, I just head for the front door, go out, and I take a walk. And sometimes it's a long walk, sometimes it's a short walk. But moving our bodies just helps us release some of the tension and gets us more peaceful. And then I think it's important to express yourself. Find somebody that you can talk to, or get out that trusty journal, start to write. Or maybe you're kind of artistic and maybe you want to draw. Or maybe you just decide at this point you want to express yourself by doing some cleaning. Maybe you're going to organize your desk, or you're going to listen to some music, some kind of music, anything that helps you and lets you express yourself without having to talk maybe to someone. I have found that for me, it's very important for me to write in my journal. I can express myself well by what I write in my journal. And I find that that does help me. It does help me get perspective. And I've got quite a bit of writing in here about doing podcasts. And when I go back and look at them, I just think, yep, this is a new place for me. Sometimes I feel overwhelmed. But you know what? I'm doing it anyway. And so writing for me is a way to express what's going on. And then make room for whatever feelings are coming up. If you try to push them away, they'll likely push back harder. Feelings change and they won't last forever. If the feelings come up at a time when you really feel like you can't give them space, like you're at work in a meeting, remind yourself to check back in them. And then when you have a little more time, you can express your feelings. Crying is a wonderful way to release your feelings. In the place I am in my life right now, with Ron being in hospice and I'm being in anticipatory grief, I find that there's some times that I just need to cry. Somebody will say, how are you doing right now? And the tears will just start coming down my face. The other day I was waking Ron up after his nap, and I had been thinking about our changes. I've been thinking about life is different. And so I was waking him up, and I was just sitting on the edge of his bed, and he said, how you doing today? And I said, I'm not doing very good today. I just don't know how I'm doing with all these changes. And I start to cry. And you know what? He starts to cry too. And so we cried together, put our arms around each other, and just said, this is good for us. We just need to cry and express how we are feeling right now. And he started talking to me that the hardest part of where he is right now in his life is not driving. And he's had several mini strokes, and so not being able to drive, not being able to help me in that way is very tough on him. And I said, I know it's tough for you. You've been such a good driver. You never had an accident. But I said, just, it's a place in our life where it's not possible for you to drive. He said, I know. And the tears started rolling down his face, and mine too, because I've picked up a lot of responsibility because he can't drive. But you know what? We made room for what we're feeling, and we talked about it. And it was real healing for both of us. It is important that we be kind to yourself. Grievers tend to give themselves a really hard time for not doing grief right, whatever right means. Remind yourself you're doing the best you can in the moment, and it's okay if you're having a hard time. I think it's probably a very tough thing for all of us to be kind to ourselves. Jan Milkerson wrote, in this special moment in life, think freely, practice patience, smile often, savor special moments, live God's message, make new friends, rediscover old ones, tell those you love that you do, feel deeply, forget trouble, forgive an enemy, hope, grow, be crazy, count your blessings, name them one by one, observe miracles. I love watching my flowers grow. I observe miracles each day. Make them happen. Discard worry. Give in. Trust enough to take. I think that one's important. I got a note from a friend, and she said, I know that you're going through a hard time, and I wondered if there's just something I could do for you. So I wrote her a note back and said, I know you like to cook. I said, how about you making some homemade chicken soup with lots of broth and very little chicken? Oh, anyway, and I wrote that in the note and said, if you could do that, that would help a lot. Because I found that I need to trust enough to take. And so she called me and said, I'm bringing over homemade chicken soup, not much chicken, but a lot of broth. And when she came over, she not only had chicken noodle soup, she had 2 fresh peaches, homemade zucchini bread, and some chocolates. Well, you know what? We have to trust enough sometimes to take when we're feeling overwhelmed. We just have to be honest enough to say, here's a place where I could I've got a need, and I'm going to trust that maybe you can help me receive it. Maybe pick some flowers, share them, keep a promise, look for rainbows. Not easy to find rainbows right now, pretty hot. Gaze at stars, see beauty everywhere. That was one of the things that my mom taught me. My mom was deaf, and when I was old enough to work, I worked at Paulus Brothers Cannery, and my mom and I worked the same shift, and so we walked to work every day because, we didn't have a car. And so one of the things that was so wonderful about walking with my mom had excellent eyesight, and she would see beauty everywhere. We'd be walking pretty fast, and she'd just say, stop, and she'd point over there, and she wanted me to see something beautiful. I wasn't going to notice it because I was walking, but we would stop on our trip to the cannery and see the beautiful through my mom's eyes. And I always appreciated the fact that everywhere I went with her, she would see beauty. And maybe we need to take the time to see that beauty. Work hard, be wise, try to understand, take time for people, make time for yourself, laugh heartily, Spread joy. Take a chance. Reach out. Let someone in. Try something new. Slow down. Be soft sometimes. Believe in yourself. Trust others. See a sunrise. Listen to the rain. Reminisce. Cry when you need to. Trust life. Have faith. Enjoy wonder. Comfort a friend. Have good ideas. Make some mistakes. Learn from them. And celebrate life. That may help you when you feel so overwhelmed. Take a moment to acknowledge how new and different this is and tell yourself, even if I'm overwhelmed right now, I will figure this out. And then, I talked about asking for help, and I just know that it's really sometimes scary to ask for help. But keep it simple and remember that people usually want to help. They're just waiting to be asked. I think it's important to take time to celebrate whatever is going well. When you're grieving, it can be hard to make space for feeling good. Because you might feel guilty because you're laughing or having a good time. I have found that these are some of the things that I've committed to do for myself. I choose to believe that I owe the world. The world doesn't owe me. I choose to create rather than complain. I will not blame others. No one is to blame. The more I blame others, the less I move forward. Blaming others is like swimming in circles in a mucky pond. No matter how hard I swim, I end up in the same place, covered with muck. I will love from my strengths, not my insecurities. I will read good books that give me life. I will not fill every moment with my smartphone. How can I think for myself if I'm obsessed with reading thoughts of everyone else? I will not avoid awkward situations by escaping into my phone. I will listen more than I talk. I will show people that they're important by asking good questions, putting my phone away, and just being present with them. I will serve the world by being the best of who I am. My future will take time. I will keep the hope. I will choose community over isolation. I am not alone in this life I live. I will sing loudly, dance unashamedly, and live unapologetically, while being faithful to do the small tasks in my life daily. This is what has helped me to take a break from my grief. Doesn't mean I love less or miss a person any less. It just means that I'm committed to work through the places where I feel overwhelmed and move forward. I hope today you won't live being overwhelmed, but finding steps to move to healing.